Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cinderella Phenomenon Evermore, and we finished Waltz's route in the last part, so we are starting Fritz's route today. And that's Rod, that's Claude, that's Fritz. Okay, he's over here. Look, I don't know where shit is. So, all right. The knight in no armor. And we have to make a save already, right away. We'll go over here. We're going to save here because we have to make sure we do... Are you sure you want to... No, don't do that. I meant to close... I never know. Anyway. Because when we go to do the good ending, so I don't have to, like... I'm lazy and I don't have to skip through the, like, prequel. You know what I mean? Like, the little, like, story thing that we saw in the very first part. Anyway. And that is why on this day... I'm stepping down from my honorable position as commander of the Order of Caldera. Fritz is standing on a small podium erected just outside the front gate. His expression somber as he gazes at the large gathering of knights. It's not exactly a good Fritz voice, but like... I don't know what it is with this game that like they're all like... They just fit into two buckets, of except for Rod. He's like the... God, whatever. But like, Fritz and Wall seem similar, and it's like... And Claude and... what's his face? Seems similar, and it's like, I just... I don't have enough for voice variety for these characters, so anyway, whatever. He's already given his resignation speech to the majority of the lower-ranking knights. This one is just for ceremony purposes. I stand at the edge of the gate, arms crossed as I watch the proceedings. My heart ought to be filled with hope, but I'm more anxious than I've been in years. I can't shake the feeling that Fritz is doing this because of me. It's been 2 years since Fitzgerald Aiden Leverton, or it's supposed to be Aiden, it's probably Aiden, whatever, Leverton, my personal knight, was promoted to the position of commander. Father bestowed the title and responsibility upon him after seeing how he acted during the crisis with Mother. Fritz possessed the required skills and the ability to lead, even if he did sometimes require my assistance on account of his initial clumsiness. The new responsibilities pulled Fritz away from me. It's been like this for nearly 2 years, even though the two of us see each other when we can. They say distance makes the heart grow fonder, but in this case... I stare hard at Fritz. There's nothing soft about the look on his face. Hi, why you gotta fly and be so angry? Why you fly so angry? You could just, fly without screaming. Such an asshole. That is why it's an honor for me to promote Jurian Valentine. Valente. Valente? Valiente. Look, I don't know why I can't read anything in this game. Anyway, my second in command to head commander. I expect you to treat her with the same respect you have shown me. Aww. It's kind of actually nice because you're like, so like Fritz is the commander, but like Jurian was always the commander and like now she's the... Okay! It's kind of like Jurian was always going to be the commander. That's the way it's supposed to be. I like that, though. Jurian moves forward to stand beside him when he gestures. Sir Fitzgerald. A flicker of a smile passes over Fritz's face. Sir is a little stiff, don't you think? Jurian smiles at him. There is a subtle sadness in her eyes, though I can't imagine why. The proceedings go on for some time after that. It's only when the ceremony is drawn to a close that I head back to the palace for one of my mandatory lessons. I'm relieved when my tutor dismisses me early. Maybe now I'll be able to catch Fritz. I'm on my way to the palace gates when I stop, noticing Fritz and Jurian at the end of the corridor. Sorry, my throat. The minute Fritz sees me, his lips pull back into a gentle smile. Princess, I was wondering when you'd appear. Good afternoon, Princess Spacey. Good afternoon, Jurian Valiente, commander of the Order of Caldera. I can't with the names. Jurian laughs. It still sounds like such a mouthful. It's shorter than Lieutenant Commander of the Order of Caldera, at least. A fair point. I hope you know I'll still be asking for your advice every now and then, Fritz. I hope you don't mind. No, of course not. It's the least I can do after putting this responsibility on you so suddenly. But now, no titles, no obstructions, right? She smiles at the two of us. You two have all the time in the world to spend together. Or a lot more of it, in any case. She pauses to look between us. May I ask you something? Of course. Being able to be with the princess isn't the only reason you resigned, is it? What makes you say that? Before I can react, Fritz wraps an arm around my waist and pulls me closer. The princess has always been my top priority. The words are accompanied by a mischievous grin. I'm equally stunned and embarrassed. Jurian stares between the two of us with wide eyes. When Fritz sees her expression, he pulls his arm away with a laugh. Sorry, princess. Sometimes I just can't help teasing. These little comments of Fritz's have become more common over the past 2 years. I believe, more than anything, that he speaks like this more often now because he's more comfortable around me. You two really have changed, haven't you? Both of you. I know that she's right, but she's looking primarily at Fritz when she says it. But was the princess really the only reason, Fritz? Though Fritz continues to smile, I can see something twitch in his expression. I've known him long enough to see beyond his confident facade. I can now read Fritz's true emotions from his small gestures. No, it's not the only reason. I think back to the jeering crowds and the agitated townsfolk. I remember the way people protested Fritz's promotion to commander because of his previous involvement with Mother. I can still remember what they called him out on the streets. A wolf wearing a man's skin, a spy, a traitor. But Fritz only smiles. Sure, there were other reasons, but being with the princess has always been the most important. I miss being her personal knight. Jurian eyes him skeptically for a few moments, but in the end, she only shakes her head and smiles. I'm glad for the two of you, then. She excuses herself after that, explaining that she has a speech to prepare as the newly promoted commander. The moment she leaves, the corridor becomes quiet. I look up at Fritz, wondering if I ought to apologize for being one of the reasons he had to step down, or should I congratulate him on his new freedom? Congratulate him. You normally don't congratulate someone on resigning, but Fritz claims this is what he wanted. Thank you, Princess. With this, you'll have no more obligations to the Order. No, just to you. He steps forward and in that brief moment of closeness, leans down to plant a kiss on the top of my head. These public displays of affection have always been taboo. The only time Fritz is ever intimate with me is when we're alone. He grins at me, almost mischievously. Ah, Her Royal Dignified Highness is blushing. I poke his shoulder. I am not! Fritz only laughs. It's good to see him being less formal. Sometimes when he teases me, I can't help but remember the other side of him. The masked man with the sly smile that we all kind of secretly had a thing for. Look, I don't remember much of the first game, but I do remember Varg. And I do remember, maybe I didn't say it, but I'm pretty sure it was like, oh, hi. Sexy evil bastard? We can't date you? Kind of end up dating him, huh? I don't know if I figured that one out. You know, when Varg would be up, you're like, that's just Fritz in a mask. Because was it obvious? I don't remember. You know, sometimes it's obvious. There's some games you play and you're like, this is obvious. And other times you're like, oh yeah, okay. I mean, I feel like it was kind of clear, but look, sometimes I have idiot moments and you're like, I'm dumb. I don't know. I don't remember the first game at all. So, I really should have replayed it, but the thing is I don't have that kind of time. So, wait, did I read that? Oh, the masked man. Yeah, I did. It's a side of him that he hides from most people, but not from me. Anyway, with his resignation, I finally unleashed myself from the Order. His gaze seems unfocused when he looks away, almost like he's remembering something. I'm sorry, my throat is very, phlegmy right now. I don't know. I'm sorry to keep coughing, but it's and then I keep feeling something in it. You're like, hold on. You know, like when you can feel something, you're talking and you just kind of feel something in your throat. And you're like, oh, I just need to cough to get rid of it. That's what, and I keep doing that, but then it just keeps being there. It's so weird. I did just eat, so maybe it's like something I ate, like from eating. Like, I don't know, it's weird. It's uncomfortable. So, anyway. I'm never going to let anyone else rule my life ever again. Well, I mean, you say that, but like, I'm going to be a queen someday, and that means ruling, and you're going to end up marrying me. I mean, semantics, but, you know, Fritz, his expression softens when he looks at me. I mean, they were basically controlling him. That's different, you know? It's nothing. I'm all yours now, princess. All right, let me rule you. Love me, let me rule you, let me be your slave. I don't remember the exact lines from Labyrinth, but I can't. That's always that lives rent-free in my brain, that scene. And like, if you've never seen Labyrinth, I don't know what the fuck you're doing with your life, because it's the goddamn greatest fucking movie ever. Like, David Bowie is the sexiest he's ever been in that. Like, you'd think I would have ever questioned my sexuality, it would have been because of that movie, but it really just made me like men in drag, I think. Then, like, Tootsie. Dustin Hoffman dressed up like... I don't know what it... I love that movie. I still love that movie. And it's not like he was sexy in drag or anything. But, like, I watch movies like that and I don't know. I think that, like, warped me somehow. And I'm like, no, a man in a dress is kind of hot. I don't know. Guyliner? Fuck yeah. But like David Bowie in that movie, which is the glorious fucking 80s eye makeup. It was terrible, but beautiful at the same time. And you were like, yeah, no, there's something spooky, sexy drag queen about this, and I'm here for it. I don't know. Like, I like it. And like, seriously? Like, I made you this labyrinth. I stole your bastard little baby brother. I'm gonna keep him and turn him into a goblin. Stay here with me. And you're like, nah, I'm gonna take this bastard kid and go back. Bitch, what? No. What? No. Spoiler alert. I mean, come on. Also, Jim Henson Muppets. Huh? Fucking love the Muppets. Love Jim Henson Muppets. Sesame Street. Muppets. Any kind of puppet. Love them. Except for the Dark Crystal. All right, so people are literally, their heads just exploded. I don't know why. I tried watching that once. I was like, yes, I found the movie one time before it would been, like, now I'm pretty sure you can find it freaking everywhere. But there was a point where you couldn't find it, and I found a VHS copy. It's back when VCRs still existed and people used them, okay? And, like, I think I watched it and I was like, yeah, nope, creeped out, nope, no, and I couldn't get through it. So, I've never actually fully watched that. And there's so many people who love it, and I'm like, yeah, no. No. Creeped out by this. Anyway, I always wanted to work for the Jim Henson Creature Shop. That was a weird-ass fucking dream I had. And I don't mean, like, dream, like I dreamt it. I mean, like, it was, like, a goal. Like, one of those, like, I want to go fucking work there and make Muppets. I just really did. And that was, like, even before they had the show where you could, like, you went and people were making, and there was, like, to get a job working. I was like, huh? I had a book that I bought at a store on, like, how to actually make, like, foam puppets. But, like, it was like, how do you get the parts in this shit? And I don't know where that book went. But, again, it's somewhere in my head that, like, I had this book. I had a book that I got at, like, freaking Borders or Barnes & Noble or something. And it was, like, literally how to make Muppet puppets. And I was like, yes. And I'm like, how do you get the phone? And I wanted to do it. Like, it was just something. But it probably would have looked like shit. Okay? But I'm just saying, it was just something I really wanted to do for a long ass time. Weird fucking dreams that you have that you're just, I don't know. I would just imagine, like, how much fun it would be. Like, look at all the cool, like the fabric and the feather and all the crazy shit you could. Oh, no, look, you know. But here we are, doing this, not professionally, just half-assed. I like suck at everything. It's like, you know what? Let's just keep going before I have an existential crisis. Again. For the probably 14th time this year. I mean, it's still only March for me. It's April for you, right? I don't know. Or is it May already? I don't even fucking know, but anyway. Well, almost. But first, I have something I need to do. Care to tag along? I smile when he holds out his arm. I don't mind the stares we get from the passing servants as I loop my arm through his and lean on his shoulder. By all means, lead on. The two of us make our way to the throne room together. I mean, we're not queens, so obviously our dad's not dead in this one. It's like, okay, like, Walt's side profile was so fucking beautiful, and I could live just staring at him like that. But I feel like his was almost like the saddest after ending, because you're like, oh, we're like, Byrne being the queen, and like everything about his, and then he's gonna remember all the shit, and you're like, I just feel really mad. I don't know why. And our dad's dead, and everybody's sad, and Parfait is dead, and you're like, I just feel like it was really sad. Like, they were just, it's a happy ending, but you're like, but it's happy with the burdens of life that exist. It's too real, man. You know? And like, sure, like, Fritz has some shit, and people are like, nah, you suck, Fritz. We're all mad at you for the shit, but you're like, I don't know, I just don't feel the weight yet. I don't feel the weight of it, like in Waltz's route. You're like, everybody's dead, and I know it's supposed to be a happy after story, but I feel kind of sad. Oh. Anyway. Just as expected, the king's waiting for us. He's already cleared his schedule to make time for this personal audience with Fritz. If the two of you are both here, I'm going to assume that the ceremony has come to a close. Fritz releases my arm to duck into a bow. That is correct, Your Majesty. I'm no longer with the Order of Caldera. All that remains is for me to return the required documents and decorations of my position. Father looks at Fritz thoughtfully, then he smiles. I'd like to personally thank you for your dedication to this kingdom, Sir Fitzgerald. I apologize for heaving the responsibility of commander onto you when you were still so young. Fritz's lips twitch. I look at him quizzically, not entirely certain if I was imagining the scowl on his face. No apologies are necessary, Your Majesty. It was and has always been an honor to serve Angeal. It was an honor to have a man as dedicated and committed as you leading the order. Now, Father stands, surprising us both. Though I'm afraid it will not be as grand as knighting you with the sword, I would insist that I reward you for all your hard work. From this day forward, I bestow upon you the title of Lord. I would also give you a stretch of land. You may do with it whatever you desire. Fritz shifts on his feet. His fidgeting is a sure sign he has something he wants to say. The king seems to notice. He's like, I just want to marry your daughter. What say you, Sir Fitzgerald? I require no lands, Your Majesty. I still have my father's manor, but if I may be so bold, I would like to make a request. What you doing, little bird? I hear you eating food in there. A request? Fritz and I share a glance. State your request, Sir Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald falls to one knee and bows his head. Your Majesty, I humbly request that I be allowed to publicly court your daughter, Princess Spacey. I mean, considering the fact that I'm boning her every night. I mean, oh! King's like, huh? What do you mean publicly? I mean... This news seems to take Father aback. I stare at him, confused. But he already knows that Fritz and I love each other. Why is this a surprise? He's like, you weren't already? Oh. Father lowers himself to his throne once again, his movements oddly stiff. Fritz is still bent on one knee, his head ducked in deference. The room is eerily silent. When no one rises to meet the challenge of the quiet, I clear my throat and speak first. Father? I apologize. Even Fritz looks up at this. Your Majesty? I give you my blessing, Sir Fitzgerald. You're more than free to court my daughter. It's her decision whom she chooses, after all. Oh, cool, thanks! However... Father's expression falls. I know what he's going to say before he even says it, and it makes my heart sink. Public opinion is not so easily swayed. There is no doubt in my mind that your displays of affection will be criticized. Father tilts his head toward me. Do you understand my meaning, Spacey? As loath as I am to admit it, I do. There's a fragile balance in our kingdom right now. The magic that once existed is now completely gone. Oh, it is? Wow, okay, I don't remember that. The witches and even some of the fairies blame me for its loss. Well, this is kind of like a weird one. Winning over the humans has already been difficult enough. Though most of the townsfolk in Angeal are now courteous to me, many of them still do not trust me. So, wow, it's like you just get, as you go, you're like, okay, happy route. Okay, happy route. Okay, oh, it's a little difficult. It's kind of sad. And this is like, wow, there's just some shit happening. Like, I don't know, they just get heavier as they go. And Fritz, many people still believe he's to blame for many of my mother's atrocities. Despite the things he's done to make up for it, they still choose to blame him, even knowing he was cursed the entire time. There would undoubtedly be bad rumors if the two of us publicly courted. I understand what you mean, but it doesn't affect my feelings. We're trying to rekindle the people's trust in us. I will make them trust me. Fritz rises and stares adamantly at the king. I've been dedicated to this kingdom ever since I became a knight, and I still am. That will never change, not even if... He falters, but only briefly. My point is that Princess Spacey and I have been trying to make things right since Hildur passed, and our own efforts to find happiness shouldn't be thwarted by the people we're trying to help. You have changed, Sir Fitzgerald. I remember your gentleness from when I first knighted you. Even now you wear a smile on your face in trying times. You remain dedicated to our kingdom even when it's broken and healing. You still smile, but now you smile with confidence. You have my blessing, Sir Fitzgerald, so long as you have my daughters. Remember what I said to you. I've bestowed upon you the title of Lord. No one, not even the nobles, can look down on you. Unless they're taller than you, then that's just a given. Hold your head proud. He turns to me. The same goes to you, Spacey. I appreciate your reminder. I should know that love knows no boundaries. He smiles fondly, and I can tell he's thinking of Ophelia. A small pain echoes somewhere inside my heart, but it feels misplaced and distant. The wounds of the past may still hurt, but they are healing. Our conversation with Father doesn't last much longer. After speaking briefly on some technical process Fritz must now undergo to obtain his new title, the king excuses us from the throne room. Outside in the hallway, Fritz seems equal parts relieved and deflated. I was expecting to come out of that feeling lighter, but Father's concerns will continue to weigh on me. Fritz forces a smile on his face. He's always good at making it seem as if he's fine, even when I know that he must be hurting on the inside. Well, that went better than I expected. Fritz. He grabs my hands and plants a kiss on my forehead. I think I'm going to attend to those obligations the king mentioned. I still need to return some documents and my armor, but after that I'll make sure I'm available to you for the rest of the day. He squeezes my hands. Perhaps we could even spend tonight together? I was thinking about a night out in town, but your thoughts seem to be on other things. He raises an expectant eyebrow. Your thoughts seem to be on other things? Whoa! Oh, how dare you? I'm a good religious girl or some shit. Yeah, and you know what? Come to my room. Let's have some hanky-panky. What? Never mind. How dare you? When I nudge him in the shoulder, the cocky grin fades from his face and is replaced by a smile that oozes innocence. I'm beginning to wonder if maybe he wears that innocence like a shield. Anyway, I'll be back later. Let's meet up in your room in 2 hours' time. He starts to bow, but then suddenly stops, realizing he no longer needs to. Instead, he smiles at me one last time before turning and heading in the direction of the commander's office. He may try to hide it, but I can tell that he's also distressed by what the king said. Maybe I can buy him something in town, something that will cheer him up. What could I possibly purchase for him? I mean, I don't need the guide to tell me this was the right answer, because we played Waltz's route. But Fritz always did love visiting the bakeries. It's been a long time since we've gone to one together, and even longer time since we shared a pastry. Fritz said his favorite desserts were chocolate croissants, I should buy him one for later. I nod my head, suddenly feeling resolute, then head to the palace gates. I kind of feel sad that, like, oh, we destroyed all the magic and we're not the Tenebrarum bearer now, and, like, you know what I mean? But, like, everybody hates us still, kinda. Like, we stopped all the magic. I can understand, like, the witches and fairies kind of being, like, miffy and pissy with us. But, like, in all the other ones, we're still a witch. We have the magic power, blah, blah, blah. And, like, the people are like, yay, but, like, you fixed everything. And in this one, we fixed everything. But they're like, really, bitch? Whatever. They're still kind of mad at us. And now the fairies and witches hate us because, like, magic's gone. I mean, to be fair, if you were, like, a fairy or a witch and you were used to having magic power and then somebody got rid of it all, you'd be like, fuck you! What do I do now? It's like having technology, and then all of a sudden technology disappears. I clicked my thing. You know. Oh, okay. Okay. I accidentally clicked because there was a piece of dust on my trackpad, and I didn't mean it. Anyway. Much to my surprise, the woman at the bakery remembers me. Not as the crowned princess, but as the peasant that used to come here frequently with Fritz. I'm relieved when she greets me with a smile and a bow. She eyes the knights at the door, but says nothing when I ordered 2 desserts. A chocolate croissant for Fritz and a custard Danish for myself. This place brings back so many memories. Fritz used to love bringing me to this small bakery. He knew how much I loved dessert and wanted to show me all of the best cafes in Angel. I take the 2 desserts and walk out of the small bakery. I sigh with relief as I come out of the small space, relieved to be back in the town plaza, where things are more spacious. A woman smiles as she passes me by.
Good afternoon, Your Highness.
She curtsies. Good afternoon. She's already walked off by the time I respond. Most of the townsfolk, while polite, are still quiet around me. They still prefer speaking with Emmeline and Rod. What can I do to make them trust me? What can I do to heal Angel? Angel. I know it's supposed to be probably Angel, but whatever. We've been fucking it up the whole time. The 2 knights trail behind me as I begin to walk back to my carriage. I prefer having it parked in inconspicuous areas, so that I'm forced to walk around and speak to the townsfolk. I hope it makes me seem more approachable. I'm still lost in my thoughts when we come into an emptier part of the plaza and someone abruptly steps into my path. I take a step back immediately. The knights behind me are at my side in a heartbeat.
Oh, I apologize.
The same woman I just passed? Was she headed in this direction? There's no need to apologize.
I'm afraid I wasn't watching where I was going.
I'm shocked when a mischievous smile appears at her lips. A mischievous smile appears at her lips. Wow. I'm so fixated on her face I barely register the sound of shattering glass at my feet. A waft of mist suddenly rises from the ground, making it impossible for me to see anything. Is this bitch attacking me? Princess! The knight's voice comes from behind me. I feel him grab at my arm. No, wait. This hand is ungloved. I try to pull away, but to no avail. No avail? Wow, I know how to say avail. What the fuck? I can't. I'm trying to pull away, but to no avail. A second, stronger hand grips my other arm, pulling me away from the knights and through the mist. My eyes are teary as the strangers pull me away from the area. I struggle to clear my thoughts as we emerge into an alleyway. When I look up, I see the woman from earlier. A man stands beside her, arms crossed.
That was a little too easy. Honorable Knights of Caldera,
Seems that we can still get the better of them, even without magic.
I recognize him as the evil frickin' witch that burnt shit down. I mean, it's just a stock background character, but it's pretty funny. These people are... They turn to look at me.
Hello, Princess Spacey.
What is the meaning of this?
You really can't guess, little Miss Princess.
The man looks at me with surprising calmness.
We're taking you hostage.
What?
Don't try anything funny. We don't want to hurt you, but we will if we need to.
I glare at the 2 of them. What is it that you threw back there?
A mist potion. One of the last left in Angel.
The woman scowls at me.
As you know, there's no more potion making. Not in a world where magic no longer exists.
See, I mean, like, I can understand them being kind of pissed about that. Like, that was you made potions, your life was using your magic, and then this bitch fucking gets rid of it, and you're like, the fuck do I do now? I have no other practical skills. You know?
Some of the others thought we ought to make you pay for taking away our magic. We're of the opinion that this would be cruel. You should be grateful for that.
What do you plan on doing with me?
You'll be staying with us for a little while until we can decide on a ransom price. If we can't make gold selling our potions, we'll just have to get it some other way.
This is cowardly, but understandable. I'm startled when the woman slaps my face. I step back, eyes wide.
I thought we said...
The woman silences the man with a glare. She turns back to me.
What would a little girl like you know of our pain? Lady Hilda was going to make this a place for all of us witches to thrive. Instead, because of your meddling, magic is gone forever. And not only that, but the humans who know we're witches still ostracize us, making it impossible for us to get jobs. A spoiled princess like yourself, who's not even tried to bridge that divide, has no business telling us what's cowardly.
I've been too busy trying to mend this kingdom as a whole. I've been trying to gain the people's trust. I had thought that with magic gone, there'd be no more reason for anyone to hate witches. And yet this discrimination still exists? The partners usher me forward. When I do not come willingly, the man grabs my arm and pulls me behind him. The two begin to traverse a series of complicated alleyways that lead deeper and deeper into the town. It almost feels like a labyrinth. The sky darkens into a crimson, then a deep purple as we move further into the alleyways. Did not expect to get kidnapped. I was meant to meet Fritz hours ago. Thinking about Fritz makes me think of rescue and of the knights that were separated from me. Do the knights even know about these alleys? I stop abruptly. I must do something.
You don't have the luxury of stopping now, princess.
Not unless you want to try our patience.
Is that like a new baked dessert? That sounds delicious. I'm just kidding. I want to try her patience by saying shit like that and just see how fucking pissed she gets. The woman makes some dismissive gesture at the man and he nods his head before walking through the alley ahead of us. Where's he going?
None of your business.
The woman pulls a hidden dagger from her sleeve and holds it to my neck.
But don't think his absence gives you any sort of advantage.
Harming me would only anger the king. They want to ask a ransom from. Wow. No, these people won't injure me. And running would be unwise when they know this area better than me. You're aware of how foolish this is, aren't you?
I would reckon that it's hardly as foolish as your own mistakes, princess.
I swallow back my retort and narrow my eyes. Even if you're able to demand a ransom from the king, the knights will stop at nothing to track you down. You're putting yourselves in danger. And I meet the woman's gaze with confidence. It's no lie when I say I'm trying my best to right the wrongs I committed in the past. I didn't intend to let this discriminatory behavior continue. Oh, I don't intend, sorry. The woman scoffs.
How honorable. You think you can barter with us, princess? You think you, the princess no one ever wanted, can save us from this situation?
The woman presses the flat of the dagger further into my neck. I gasp before I can help it.
I'd remember who's in charge here.
Oh, do tell. Is it Varg? I hope it's Varg.
I don't know why. When she was like, when we were like being threatened, all of a sudden in my brain I was like, oh my god, I want Fritz to just Varg it up and come to our rescue. I just really need that. Like, cool, you're like Batman now. I just need him to be like vigilante of justice or some shit. I don't know.
I wonder who it is that needs to be careful. The woman and I turn at the same time to face the source of the voice. No, it's just Fritz.
I was just really hoping. I was really fucking hoping. That's why his voice was a little different. I was like, we're gonna have to give him like a different tone of voice, you know?
Oh. Fritz walks towards us from the opposite end of the alley.
Come any closer and I'll slit the princess's throat.
She brings the dagger closer to my neck, but something silver flashes through the air and cuts the motion short. The dagger falls from her hand. 2 daggers lay on the ground. One belongs to the woman, and the other must have been thrown by Fritz.
Hey, what's happened here?
The man, who I presume had been scouting the area, has returned. When he catches sight of Fritz, he moves to stand protectively by the woman's side. Both take a step back as Fritz approaches, eyes flashing dangerously. I wouldn't test me if I were you. I take a few steps back as well, putting myself as close to Fritz as possible. Fritz glances at me. Princess, are you unharmed? I am. He offers me a tight-lipped smile before turning his attention back to the kidnappers. I mean, it would have been so much funnier if he showed up as Varg and they would have been like, wait, and he'd be like, I don't know. It looks like it's useless trying to reason with people that have thick skulls, but at least you tried, Princess.
Thick skulls? It's you humans who have the thick skulls. Us witches.
She stops abruptly. The realization dawns upon her slowly. There are no witches. Not anymore. I've memorized your faces. No matter how far you run, I will track you down.
Ha! A personal hunting dog, are we?
Aye, those are big words for a knight who does nothing but take orders.
Oh? I'm surprised when Fritz draws his blade. He's no need to wear the scabbard at his side now that he's given up his title, and yet here he is carrying a sword. In a heartbeat is the tip pointed at the man's neck. Allow me to enlighten you. If they're hurt, nothing will change. Fritz, let them go. Fritz is like, aw. I know, and I'm like, aw. I kind of liked this. Fritz is like, oh, you're kind of being a little, like, evil and sexy. I like it. There's a little bit of Varg coming out here, and I'm digging it. I'm digging it right now, Fritz. Fritz. Fritz puts his finger to his lips and releases a shrill whistle. The dark spaces in the alleyway, which I had presumed to be empty, suddenly fill with knights. Did Fritz lead them here? Anyone who puts the princess in danger is to be captured on sight. Fritz pulls back his sword, eyes narrowed. The knights need no further signal. 2 of them rush forward to grab the man and woman from behind. Fritz watches, his gaze cold. I mean, he's not really a knight, but I mean, like, obviously they trusted him, and if he's like, hey, the princess isn't, I'll help her.
No, bad bird. Bad boy. Tis not good. Tis a pooping on my couch. Tis not what, don't you bite at me. Don't you bite at me, cleaning up your poopies, you nasty brat. Tis a bad birdie. Tis a bad bird. What, you're so cute. Oh, and now you're mad? Now you're gonna bite your toy? You're gonna bite him because you're mad? She's mad because you're pooping in the wrong spot. She's a naughty bird. She's a naughty, naughty little bird. You're so cute, though. I love you. This way you let me pet you, but you're bratty. You gotta do better, buddy. You gotta do better. Poopy's in what you're supposed to in the poopy pants. You're so cute.
Anyway, sorry. Nice to know for the signal. 2 of them rush forward to grab the man and woman from behind. Fritz watches his gaze cold. I don't know if we read that, but there you go. Eventually, once the kidnappers have been contained, he turns to me with a gentle, if not tired, smile. Are you sure you're okay, Princess? I'm fine, Fritz. Those 2 were witches, or they used to be. They wanted to capture me and demand a ransom from the king. They weren't very tactful, were they? I watch as the knights take the former witches away. Both glare at me as they're led down the alleyway. Before, they might have fought back with magic. Now, they have nothing. Princess? I feel Fritz's hand on my cheek. Come on, let's go back. We'll need to report this incident to Jurian. I turn to Fritz as the 2 of us are walking out of the alleyway. How did you find me? Practice. I am a good tracker, Princess. When you weren't in your room, I went looking for you. And the knights reported that you left the palace earlier, so I went searching for you in town. Fritz frowns. You had no idea how worried I was when they told me you'd been captured. I ought to have reprimanded them for losing you so easily. If I was still their commander, I would have... Fritz stops himself and shakes his head. What were you doing out in town? I hold up the wrinkled bag with a sigh. Fritz eyes it with curiosity. For a few moments he looked puzzled. Then he notices the pattern on the bag. Oh. I take the now cold croissant out of the bag with a grimace and hold it out to him. A croissant? Princess, you shouldn't have. He's like, what were you doing out of town? Buying you a gift? Oh. Oh, that's gonna make him feel like better and worse at the same time. Like, oh, that's so cute, but oh my god, you almost got kidnapped, and oh my god, it's my fault because you were buying me something. Like, his eyes brighten when he takes a bite. It's delicious. Thank you. I was actually going to take you out to that bakery later tonight. They have a light display that I really want you to see. But you went ahead and bought me something anyway, and then you got captured because I wasn't with you. I bristle at his comment. Because he wasn't with me. If I could use magic, I would have been able to defend myself. Or maybe if I had a weapon. Had I been armed, I might have been able to protect myself. I might not have needed to be rescued. I sigh to myself. I doubt the knights would give me a sword when I haven't been trained to use one. Is there nothing I can do to protect myself? This one's a little like, well, it's heavy because it's like everyone's still kind of like, about her, and the witches hate her, and like, she feels like, just, I can't protect myself. I can't use magic. I don't know how to use a sword. Like, it just feels like so, you're like heavily burdened with like, just the problems here. You know what I mean? After explaining the situation to both Jurian and my father, I'm finally allowed to return to my room. The first thing I do is collapse onto my bed with a sigh. I haven't been laying down for long when a knock sounds on the door. Spacey? Come in. I sit up as Fritz enters the room. He's smiling his usual smile, but he doesn't seem to be trying very hard to hide the tiredness in his eyes. I pat the space on the bed beside me. Are you okay, Fritz? Right as rain. He is most definitely not. He slides onto the bed beside me and slowly, almost hesitantly, settles an arm around my waist, pulling me closer. I'm just relieved to know that we got to you today before the situation got any worse, Princess. Fritz? You don't have to call me by my title anymore, you know. He had to as a knight of Caldera, but he's no longer a knight. I'm relieving you of the responsibility. Fritz laughs sheepishly. Some habits die hard. There's a moment of silence between the two of us. I note the telltale tension in his body and stifle a sigh. True, we haven't gotten a CG yet. I made him worry today. Had I been able to escape earlier, I might not have needed anyone's assistance. It occurs to me that this isn't the first time I've lamented my inability to fight back. As a princess, my life is technically always in danger. Knowing how to defend myself would be extremely helpful. I close my eyes and frown, unable to stop my thoughts from flooding with familiar faces. All of them now gone. Oh god, who's dead in this one? Garland. Oh no! What? Jurian and Garland can't be happy? Oh. Delora. I forgot all this! Parfait. I still believe I would have been able to save them had I made wiser decisions and known how to fight back. I don't want anyone else to get hurt because of my own weakness. Spacey? Fritz pulls a strand of loose hair away from my face. May I ask you for some advice, Fritz? Of course. Anything. I'd like some means of protecting myself. Fritz furrows his eyebrows. Spacey, next time you go out, I'll make sure to be with you. Fritz, I want to be able to protect myself. Fritz looks at me quietly. Then, much to my surprise, he smiles, if not a little grimly. I don't have much advice, but I do have this. He points to his wrist. I turn to watch in awe as he slides a dagger out of his sleeve. He hands it to me. Isn't it forbidden for knights to carry concealed weapons? The townsfolk must always be able to see what the knights carry. The rule was implemented a few years ago, soon after the chaos that befell Angeal. All those granted the right to carry weapons must carry them out in the open. It's our way of building trust with the denizens of the kingdom. Much to my surprise, Fritz grins at me. I'm not a knight anymore, am I? The expression fades as he puts his finger to the flat surface of the blade. I can't help but stare at the elaborate design on the hilt. It is beautiful. Where did you get this? It belonged to my mother a long, long time ago. Fritz has barely spoken of his mother. All I know about her is that she died when Fritz was very young. My father gave it to her as a gift. She wanted it for the same reasons you did. Suddenly his expression is melancholy. He dips his head and frowns. Fritz? You don't need to speak about her if you don't wish to. No, it's not that. It's just... I just remembered that the day my mother died, she didn't have this dagger with her. I'd had it for a long time, but I never started keeping it on me until... His voice fades. The flicker of gloom in his eyes tells me that he's remembering the events of 2 years ago. Though I've tried to block out many of my memories from that time. I blocked out all my memories at the time because I forgot everything. I can't forget the dagger Fritz once pointed at his own throat. It was the dagger he kept hidden up his sleeve. The dagger Varg used to threaten us. Well, I've had it for a while, but now it's yours. And keep it just in case I can't be there. And the last thing I want is for you to be in any danger. I look down at the dagger, contemplating. I'd like to learn how to use it. A weapon's useful only when you know how to wield it. Of course. I'd be more than happy to teach you when I have some time on my hands. He inhales sharply. I stare in alarm as panic flits across his face. Fritz? It's nothing, Princess. I still have to give my detailed report, but I promise I'll be free tomorrow morning. He walks toward the door, but then pauses to glance back at me. Spacey, I love you, and I'm glad I can say that without worrying about anything getting in the way. I love you too, Fritz, with all my heart. The two of us exchange smiles before he walks out the front door. Walks out your bedroom door. It's not really the front door, but once I'm alone, my eyes return to the beautiful dagger in my lap. Feels like Fritz has given me a part of himself, but I can't get his earlier distress out of my mind. The dagger's a comfort, but it also feels foreboding, like it might be the trigger to something ominous. I hide it away in one of my drawers before falling back onto my bed. It takes me a long time to fall asleep that night. I mean, I kind of feel like it's kind of cute in the sense of, like, right as rain. You know, she falls in love with her personal knight. It's kind of cute. Like, I get, like, that's like, aw. You know, and technically, Waltz was the childhood friend that you forgot was your childhood friend. But like, Fritz is, like, your faithful knight, and that's beautiful. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, but, like, everything, like, should we have fallen in love with our faithful knight? Because it just seems like everybody's miserable. Like, I don't know. You know? Like, in Claude's route, everything is happy. In Ra's, everything is, like, pretty much fine. In Chevalier's route, it's like, everything's okay, but people, like, he's gotta deal with some personal shit. Like, you know, people kind of look down on you, but it's okay. You power through and you make it in the end. And then Waltz's is like, oh, everybody's kind of dead, and the king is dead, and I'm the queen, and things a little heavy, but it works out. But it's still like, oh. And then this is like, I don't know, this one's really even more depressing. Like, they just get a little darker as they go, and I don't know. I don't know if I like it. I like that everything is different, you know. So, yes, in this one, magic is gone and everything, and it's not like everything is perfect, but it's still like, it's just the heaviness of it. You're like, oh, well, but. And they both sat there, grown up, yet children at heart. And it was summer, warm, beautiful summer. When I reached the end of the fairy tale, I stopped to look down at the pages, thoughtful. I'm not sure how I feel about this one. My thoughts exactly. I snap the book shut and gaze at the cover quietly. The Snow Queen is one of Emmeline's fairy tales. She just recently received it for a birthday and allowed me to borrow it for my reading sessions. I turn my attention to the gravestone I'm sitting in front of. Though the sky is dark, the inscription on the grave is illuminated by my lantern. It's Delora's name. I hope you and Lorea enjoy the fairy tale at least. I've been reading at this gravesite for the last 4 months. Originally, I only came here to set flowers on the graves, But then Fritz suggested I try speaking to everyone. I was skeptical at first, but it turns out that reading helps lighten my mood when I'm here. I like to imagine Delora and her daughter listening to the fairy tales as I read them aloud. Something soft lands on my head, and I stop to gaze up at the sky. It's a lot more than a single droplet of noise, is all I'm saying. A single droplet makes its way down a leaf and lands on my nose. Rain? It's been a while since it's rained, hasn't it? I turn to glance at Fritz. He's been leaning against a tree for the past half hour, keeping a lookout for danger while I read. Amazing, isn't it? Even in summer we have these rainy days. Yeah, I mean, it rains in summer. He glances up at the sky and cocks his head, a soft smile on his lips. Have I ever told you that I love the rain? No, I had no idea. I love thunderstorms.
Hi, what you doing, cutie patootie? You're so cute, fluffy. Love it when you get all puffed up. You look all chubbly, but you're not.
I pick up both the lantern and book and stand up. My gaze flickers briefly to the 4 gravestones lined up in a row. Garland, Delora, Parfait, and Mother. I've already set lilies on all 4, as I do every month. Fritz always accompanies me here on these days. Oftentimes he stands guard from somewhere nearby with a melancholy look on his face. I'm actually sadder that Garland is dead than anybody else. Like, we gotten used to Parfait being dead. She's been dead in a couple of routes. You know what I mean? Delora, you're like, oh, but I got used to Parfait being dead, so it's okay. But, like, Garland, you're like, no, but, like, how is Jurian gonna be happy now? I'm, like, more upset about that. Like, really? They had, like, they were, like, the perfect background romance. You know what? You know what it is? Because they're the background side characters, but they have a beautiful little love that blossoms. And it's not, you know, you're the MC. Okay, we're playing as the MC. It's all about us. But no, but they have a beautiful love, and it's perfect. And you're not jealous. You're jealous of it, and like, I just want to be happy like that. They're so cute. Not like, bitch, why you get him? He's fine. Because he's fine. But like, they're perfect together, and you're just so happy for them, and you're like, no, I love it. You know? And especially because I sometimes just feel in my own life, I know that your life, you should be the MC of your own life, but I just seriously feel like the background character in somebody's story, and I'm like, your story sucks. And I don't just want to be the background character anymore, because it's boring. Like, I don't like this. Like, I don't know. So you're just like, see, the background characters in this get to be happy, why can't I be? Like, it's not fair life. And plus, it sets you up. That they're so happy and cute, and then life just takes them away. That's rude. It's rude. Anyway. Well, now you know. When I was a child and my father wasn't home, I used to run outside and catch raindrops on my tongue. He always scolded me for it. He said I'd catch a cold. It's hard to imagine a time when Alcester worried for his son. Alcester, the previous commander of the Order of Caldera, and Fritz's father, had been banished from Angeal for more than 2 years. No one's seen him since he disappeared. Sometimes, I wonder if Fritz ever wishes to see him again. But considering everything that happened between them, I doubt their reunion would be a happy one. I turn my thoughts back to our conversation. And did you ever catch a cold? Yes, more than a few times. I enjoyed those sick days, though. My father would begrudgingly make me tea, and the 2 of us would talk about his adventures as a knight. And those were good days. He sighs. I feel like an old man when I reminisce like this. I poke Fritz in the shoulder with a teasing smile. Because 23 is old. Ancient in the eyes of a child. He takes my hand and another droplet lands on my head. The slight chill in the air gives me more reason to sidle up to him. 23 is a baby in the eyes of old people, though, just saying. I press myself to his side and smile when he wraps an arm around my waist. He takes the lantern from me and holds it up to light our way through the forest clearing. The 2 of us are at the outskirts when he turns to me. Do you mind if I escort you to the palace and meet up with you later, Princess? What did you just call me? Sorry, the title just comes so naturally. Anyway, would that be alright with you, Spacey? And where will you be going? I need to do some cleaning at the manor. Then after that, I need to gather a few materials for Jurian. I glance up at the sky again. I'm able to see it more clearly through the canopies now. It looks cloudier, darker. The rain has picked up. My family has dinner with some esteemed guests tonight. If I run that errand with Fritz, there's a possibility I'll get caught in the rain and show up late. Though my presence isn't required, it might be better for me to be there. I pause to consider the warmth of Fritz at my side and falter. But being beside him like this is nice, especially because he's been so busy lately. It's not as if I need to be at the dinner tonight, and I haven't been able to spend much time with Fritz, so this is fine. Oh, you're not busy today? Not any busier than normal. It's not as if I'll be gone for the rest of the night, and besides... I lean in closer. It's remarkable how warm he is, even now. I'd much rather spend time with you while you're still here. You have a tendency to disappear when I'm not watching you. Oh? If I take my eyes off you for too long, you vanish into thin air. He laughs. Every good knight knows how to be inconspicuous. Besides, he drums his finger gently against my hip and raises an eyebrow. Sometimes you see more interesting things cloaked in shadow. You make it sound as if you're spying on people. I don't spy on people, Spacey. I'm just observant. This is true. Fritz is incredibly perceptive. He knows more about me than anyone else. The image of you hiding in the shadows is rather ominous. Not at all alluring. He pauses to face me. His eyes so golden against his dark skin seem to shine beneath the shade of the canopies. Neither of us speaks. Fritz brings his thumb to my bottom lip and slowly runs his thumb across it. Lots of things happen in the shadows. Part of the allure is that whatever happens is a secret, don't you think? Fritz looks at me for a long moment, then he grins. You never cease to amuse me. Amuse you? He backs away from me and holds out a hand. I take it, allowing him to pull me through the last of the trees and into the town square. I am not amusing. You wear your emotions on your sleeve, princess. It's precious. I simply prefer honesty. I still have difficulty opening up to people, and I'd rather not show weakness in front of anyone, but I have gotten better. Fritz? Yes, Spacey? You're honest with me too, right? Of course. His slow answer gives me pause, but I say nothing. Fritz's eyes are already on our surroundings, watching everything and everyone around us warily. The rain has begun to pick up, so I hold the book closer to my chest as we make our way towards his manor. We only stop to pick up food. The streets go colder as we walk. A bitter chill hangs in the air, and I draw closer to Fritz without thinking. He wordlessly drapes an arm on my shoulder and holds the lantern closer. He glances up at the sky, a fond smile on his lips. Fritz is warm as sunshine, and yet he really does love cold, rainy days, doesn't he? The two of us make our way back to his manor in peaceful silence. Oh, right, I remember being here. I was like, this background? I'm like, right, I remember this background. Inside, Fritz takes everything I have and sets it down on the table. He lays out a meal for the two of us and then takes a seat at the table beside me. Did we, go to work for him or something when we were, Because didn't we have a room here for some reason? When we were, cursed? Is that what it was? The meal is thankfully simple. Nothing but a variety of small sandwiches. The simplicity is nice for a change after so many extravagant meals at the palace. So what sort of cleaning do you need to do? Well, there are some items in my room I need to gather and return to the order. And then I need to organize some documents for Jurian. And when that's all done, what will you do? Fritz stares at me blankly. The look takes me by surprise. Will you have any other obligations to the order? Oh. He smiles a little sheepishly. There might be a few more things, but I should be done by the end of the week. The room quiets as we focus on the meal. I'm not bothered by the silence. I've always found these moments of quiet relaxing, especially in Fritz's company. The silence persists until Fritz gets to his feet and smiles down at me. How about some warm tea for the cold weather? Weather. Well, that'd be nice, thank you. All right, give me a few moments then. He's on his way to the kitchen when he stops and glances over his shoulder. Feel free to make yourself at home. He disappears into the kitchen, leaving me by myself. When he's gone, I'm aware of how absolutely still the manor is. The only sounds I hear are coming from outside. I make my way to the window and stare outside, baffled. It's pouring. The streets are mostly empty, filled with nothing but deep puddles. No wonder it's so quiet. I turn away from the window and begin to wander around the living room. Not much has changed since I first came here 2 years ago. The house is still impersonal, even when it belongs only to Fritz. At least, that is what I think. But as I'm looking around, I come across a small, framed illustration that doesn't look familiar to me. His mother, maybe? It's a small portrait, but the woman featured in it makes me pause. Her hair is as white as the clouds. Her eyes a soft brown. Her smile is gentle and reminds me of Fritz? I pick the framed portrait up and flip it over. There are words written on the back in cursive slant. I read them aloud. To my wife, you're the sun and I the world. I hope that I can continue to bask in your warmth for the rest of my days. The signature beneath takes me by surprise. Alcester? I face the kitchen, my heart beating erratically in my chest as I set the portrait down. I'm even more surprised when I notice Fritz standing behind me, holding a simple tray with a single teacup on it. His eyes stray to the floor, and I follow his gaze to see another teacup turned over and broken. Are you okay? Fritz lets out a nervous laugh. I'm fine, Spacey. It was just a clumsy misstep. It's because we were reading the portrait or we saw it. Something about that. He sets the tray down on the table, walks off, and returns with materials to clean up the shattered cup and spilled tea. When he's done, Fritz gestures absently at the remaining teacup. Though he's smiling at me, his gaze seems far away. He looks shaken. I take the teacup from him with some worry. Sorry about that. You can have that cup and I'll go make myself another. I cradle the cup of tea in my hands and gingerly take a sip. Tea is warm and soothing and helps relieve some of the tension in my body. What do you think? Offer him the cup of tea. You don't like it? No, it's perfect, but I think you need it more than I do. I'm fine, Spacey. I just accidentally tipped the tray and... Sit down and drink, Fritz. Fritz's shoulders sag as he falls down into a chair at the table and takes the teacup from my hands. After some moments' hesitation, he begins to drink. I know we're over time, but there's no good place to stop. 2 years ago, when I was stressed, Delora treated me to a mug of hot chocolate because it helped calm my nerves. Tea has a similar effect. Better? Fritz lowers the teacup and smiles apologetically. I'm sorry. No apologies are necessary, Fritz. But you obviously have something on your mind. Have I really become so easy to read? I can tell the difference between your clumsiness and your distress. I place my hand over his, and for a few moments, Fritz allows me to see past his usual facade. I'm aware of the sadness in his eyes. When he doesn't speak, I move my hand away with a sigh. I glance back at the portrait that I picked up earlier. To my knowledge, the portrait has never been displayed in this room. That wasn't here before, was it? No, I just recently put it out. I found it in my father's room and decided to display it in here. Fritz eyes the portrait with a sorrow so profound it makes my heart ache.
What you doing? Playing with your toys and speaking? Isn't it being cute?
I don't really remember my mother's face, but I knew that was her the moment I saw her face. I'm sorry I reacted so strangely when you picked it up, but my mind went blank when you read those words aloud. It's been a while since I've read them. For a few moments, Fritz's eyes are far away. One of his hands forms a fist as he looks sullenly down at the table. When you said my father's name... He sighs. It's hard sometimes, remembering my father as someone who could actually love. His words on the back of the portrait remind me of the man he used to be. Fritz and his father never seemed to get along. I never knew how terrible the relationship was until I learned that Alcester was the one to curse Fritz. He may not have been the one to cast the magic, but he was the one that gave the command, and that's worse. I always doubted Alcester loved Fritz. How could he when he was the one to curse him? Fritz leans back in his chair, a defeated expression on his face. You know, sometimes I think I've become exactly like him. Like my father, I mean. I stare at him, uncomprehending. What? Fritz, you're nothing like Alcaster. Are you sure? It's probably Alcaster, but Alcaster just sounds weird when I say it. Alcaster doesn't sound any better. It sounds like Alka-Seltzer, but like whatever. I used to believe that all knights were righteous and that the citizens of Angeal were flawlessly kind-hearted. My father told me that was a naive notion, and I always judged him for being so critical of people. I strove to prove him wrong. And now? Now I think I understand what he meant when he said that people abuse kindness. Fritz's expression is as dark and gloomy as the weather outside. People are always looking for someone to hate. They hide it behind smiles and pleasantries, but in the shadows, they plot and scheme and blame their hardships on others. He looks up at me, and I can tell that he's referring to the witches who kidnapped me 3 days ago. Witches, fairies, humans, they're all the same. They're all conniving in their own ways, no matter who or what they are. He sounds like Mother. You give them some power and they abuse it. You show them kindness and they walk all over you. I mean, yeah, we all feel like that sometimes. People only bow their heads to those they fear. He breaks off suddenly. His hands are shaking, but whether from rage or shock, I can't tell. Abruptly, he looks away. You see? Sounds exactly like something my father would say. Something his father would say, and something Varg would have said. Has Fritz really felt that way all this time? I don't know what happened to Alcaster to make him so bitter. I don't know what happened to make him despise all those around him. But I do know about Fritz's circumstances. I know he's been pressured for a very, very long time. I know that he's given far more than he's ever received. And I know that sometimes he forces a smile on his face to hide his true feelings. I used to think Fritz was relentlessly optimistic, but the last 2 years have changed him. I walk over to him. He's still staring down at the table when I wrap my arms around his neck from behind. I don't want to be like him. His voice is just a whisper. You're not like him. Your father allowed hatred to consume his life, but you battle the compulsion relentlessly. He was pessimistic about everything, but you hide your negative feelings away in the hopes that you can overcome them. You're strong, Fritz. Strong enough to shoulder your own burdens and to still carry mine on your back as well. You're the strongest person I know. I plant a kiss on the top of his head. Every time you feel like this, please come talk to me. I'll tell you about my concerns, and I tell you about my concerns, and I want you to be able to speak to me too. I pull away so that I can face him. Let me help you the same way you've helped me. Fritz looks up. Our eyes connect. The smile on his face doesn't reach his eyes. As some knight in shining armor I am. I can't even remain optimistic for my princess. Oh? I was under the impression that you were no longer a knight. That's why it's knight in no armor. His expression falls even further at that, and I immediately regret my words. I know that there's more on Fritz's mind than he's telling me. I know, however, that he won't share any of it. Fritz always shuts down when he thinks he's inconveniencing me. The atmosphere in the room is heavy, and the rain doesn't help the mood any. It's impossible to cheer Fritz up in such a dismal place. We are way over, but, I look up and focus on the rain drumming on the window pane. At first, my mind is blank, filled with nothing but the soft sounds of the rain. Then suddenly, an idea occurs to me. I stand and flash a smile at Fritz. I'm going outside. Wait, Spacey! I step outside before he can stop me. Alright, we'll stop here. We're gonna go outside and play in the rain, but it's not a perfect place to stop, but it's the best transition, and we're 10 minutes over, so anyway, I will see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.